everyone. I hope your day is off to a great start. It's Tracy broadcasting live from Golden Dog Adventure Company headquarters as we continue our live broadcast of several charitable organizations in New Hampshire that we are supporting. And today we are talking with Helen St. Pierre from Old Dogs Go to Helen. How are you, Helen?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Always great to have you as a guest. I really appreciate your time. And you're going to learn not only about Old Dogs Go to Helen, but our program Shop Local Give Hope, which is an initiative for this holiday season to not only support Golden Dog partners that have a gift back strategy, but also the organizations in and around New Hampshire that really do need your support this holiday season. So, Helen, I know most people in our community are familiar with you, but for those who are not, can you tell us a little bit about yourself as a trainer and as a supporter of senior and hospice pets?
Yeah. So I own No Monkey Business Dog Training, which I've had now for we're in our 23rd year. But for the last 8 years, there was a need that I stumbled upon, quite frankly, while doing a lot of work with shelters um, for senior and dying dogs or medically compromised dogs that couldn't necessarily be adopted or wouldn't be adopted readily because of their medical needs. Started bringing those home and became really enchanted. I don't know if enchanted's the right word, but it's the word that's coming to my head right now with giving these amazing animals an end of life experience of a great 6 months, bringing them back to feeling medically great, giving them the needs that they needed, like medical needs. And then when they were ready, helping them pass and having them not feel alone or displaced in that really vulnerable period of life. And after the first time we did it, I said, that was really hard. Maybe I shouldn't do it again. And then the next day I brought another one home and it slowly snowballed. And so it was a very organic process. And now I am the founder and executive director of Old Dogs Go to Helen, which is a nonprofit right here in New Hampshire. It's a sanctuary that we run out of our home here in Epsom. And we have upwards of 15, sometimes a little more, sometimes less, senior and hospice dogs in the sanctuary, as well as hospice and senior horses, pigs, goats, cats, birds. We just took in 2 senior guinea pigs. I mean, basically, if they're senior, they come to us, and we are just a revolving door for that type of animal in that need.
And chickens.
And chickens, that's right. We've taken chickens too. A
How's my
senior
chicken
chicken.
doing?
Yeah, she's doing great.
Oh,
I
good.
call her Falcon. She's doing wonderfully.
Awesome. Well, you did, I think it was yesterday that you put out a Facebook post. It was very heartfelt about how you got started in this business and some of which you talked to here, but it was very passionate. It was very deep for you. I mean, your writing as a whole is very deep, but it shared with the audience about how you give these pets dignity and how you advocate for them. And it talked a little bit about your work in shelters in your early days and kill shelters,
Mhm.
basically how space had to be made for these dogs because, for pets in general. And so they would have to kill these pets so that they can make additional room. Um, yeah, that really struck a chord with me. I mean, I can feel myself tearing up right now. Um, you've come so far in your career. And
Yeah, I mean it was a great and awful place to start, because
yeah,
if you start in the trenches in that way, and listen, there's no harbored blame or judgment on these shelters. These shelters still exist today,
right.
okay? Unfortunately, we like to think that they don't, but they absolutely are there. And the amount of dogs that come in, there's sometimes there's nowhere to put them. So it was a really great beginning for me, because it shaped the trajectory of not only realizing that these dogs need to be advocated for in terms of their training and how they're treated, but also in knowing that this was going on, and there are a lot of these dogs that really need somebody to step up for them. So even before I was doing senior and hospice sanctuary, I was a huge advocate for adopting senior dogs, because they're just the best dogs to bring home for first time families. Oftentimes, this idea that if you don't do it, Yeah, or if you do it, you'll be sad because they'll pass sooner or later. I mean, that's the roll of the dice with any animal you bring home. Um, and senior dogs have so much love to give.
Yeah.
So it was a great way to start my career, honestly. It was terrible, don't get me wrong, but it was a really wonderful way to get me where I am today.
Yeah. And thank you for the work you do. We really appreciate it. So, this time of year, with the trickle down effect from the government being shut down and SNAP benefits being halted, I mean, fortunately, everything's back up and running now. But what kind of effects are you seeing with people needing to rehome their pets? And are you finding a greater need this year than you did last year?
Um, Yes, I think honestly, I think it comes in waves. We usually get at the minimum 2 or 3 requests to take dogs per day,
Wow.
sometimes upwards of 8 per day.
Per day.
But
Wow.
oh, per day, absolutely. But a lot of them are sometimes just simply senior dogs. They're not hospice, they're not dying, they're not medically compromised, which, at first I was open to taking, and then I realized, well, if I do that, I'm going to have the exact same problem. I'm going to run out of space for the medically compromised. So we have to turn away a lot of dogs that aren't actively dying because we don't adopt out. But the major thing that we are seeing across the board in all shelters and many of our senior rescues and sanctuaries is people unable to pay for the medical care that these dogs need, or even not the medical care per se, but the prescriptions, the medication, whatever it is. And the lack of preparedness mentally for end of life care. That's a big piece where people don't understand that you're going to have to make sacrifices, and your carpet is going to be peed on, and all of these things are going to happen.
Yeah, very good points. And so, what kind of increased needs are you seeing for supplies and things that people could potentially donate to your organization?
Well, it's difficult because we what the main financial cost that we deal with is vet care and medical prescription. We all of the dogs in our sanctuary eat a prescription based food, which is $131 a bag. So while people will donate bags of food to us that we will then either pay forward, or we can sometimes mix in certain foods, we really financially are always needing help for even gift cards for like Chewy, or places where we can order the food, and vet care and vet costs. I know a lot of people have said, "Can I call a vet that you use and make a donation and have it on your account?" We can always use that. Um, and then the pee pads, we go through disposable pee pads. We go through about 10 or 11 of those a day. They're giant pee pads. They're 40 inches by 99 inches, so they're massive. And those, if you average the cost, are around $8 each. So that in and of itself is a huge financial burden. But cleaning supplies, we can always use. Dog toys that are, and beds, orthopedic beds, washable pee pads that we put on top of the beds. I mean, those are really our biggest needs. But vet care is everything nowadays for
Okay,
these
that makes a lot
oldies.
of sense. And you can learn all about our initiative and more about Old Dogs Grow to Helen at our website at goldendognh.com. And you can learn about this effort that we put a new focus on for this year about shopping at our partners who do have a give back strategy, and then donating additional funds, maybe in lieu of gifts for people in your family. One of the things that we're doing new this year is I have asked relatives to give to one of the charities that are listed in this initiative,
That's
as opposed
awesome.
to gifts for us. Yeah, because we don't need more stuff,
Stuff. I know we
right?
don't need more stuff. I
But it
know.
makes more sense to give to these places that do. And so on Christmas Day, my parents might say, okay, we've gave X amount of money to this organization, and it helped get pee pads and vet care and whatever else, and that really is meaningful to us. So if that's meaningful to you too, then I encourage you to do that this holiday season. So, Helen, what other things can Old Dogs Go to Helen use? Like, do you take volunteers at all? And if you do, what's that process?
Yes, we are always looking sometimes for volunteers. The thing that I'm very cautious about, and I'm a kind of a gatekeeper, is I'm very cautious that volunteer work, because we do this out of our home and we do this with sick or dying dogs. So you have to come in with an understanding that you might walk in on a Monday fall in love with some of these dogs. They're going to be fantastic. And then the next Monday you come back, one might be missing and might have passed, or we have to make the decision. We don't allow dogs to actively die naturally here at Old Dogs. We want them to go on their last best day. So we are constantly proactively making decisions for them to make sure that they have good deaths. And that means that when you walk into the oldies, you're not going to see a bunch of dogs that can barely walk or are having a hard time breathing. They are all living their best lives. So you have to, as a volunteer, understand that your heart's going to get broken a lot. And we don't have a requirement on how often you come, but it does make it easier for the oldies if they have people that they know are coming on certain days at certain times, rather than sort of like popping in once a month. And you're going to be covered in a lot of poop and pee and, drool when you come. So you just can't wear anything you care about. But yes, we're always looking for volunteers that are dedicated and they can email me directly. And I put them in contact with Megan, who is our volunteer coordinator. And she gets them all squared away and does a tour and shows them what to do and all that fun stuff.
Okay, well, wonderful. Well, you can learn more about Helen and Old Dogs Go to Helen at olddogsgotohelen.com, and you will find a link there to donate as well. And so, Helen, any types of fundraisers or events or anything like that coming up this year or in the new year that we can plan for?
Well, we just did our big one at All Dogs Gym, but next year we've planned our Saints and Self-Defense class. So we take our senior saints, that's the St. Bernards, and our younger saints, and you come to our space outside of Epsom, right here in Concord. And my husband, who is a black belt and all of that fun defense tactics, teaches self-defense while St. Bernards drool on you. So we've got that. And then I believe we have some spring fundraisers coming in April and May. So keep your eyes peeled for that on the website. We have the events page on the website, and Megan is fantastic about putting all of that stuff up there. I think this Sunday we have lots of little mini things, like the Flannel Tavern is doing a mini fundraiser for us, and those kind of little local community things are always going on. So you can see that on our events page.
Perfect. Well, I love the Saints and Self-Defense. It's just such a unique experience. So kudos to you and your team for creating some really fun fundraisers.
They don't pay much attention, honestly. The people are too busy with the Saints to pay any
Yeah,
attention. But it's like, well, it works out, right? You leave in a really good mood and covered in drool. So what could go
love
wrong?
it. Well, Helen, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk with us. I really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone for joining us. Again, go to olddogsgotohelen.com to learn more. And if you are interested in our Shop Local Give Hope initiative, head on over to goldendognh.com. Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone. We
Tracy.
appreciate it and have a great holiday.
Merry
Bye,
Christmas.
everyone.